Hello, welcome to another episode of Cooking with Heather. Today we're going to make pizza wraps. Alright, so I put the yeast aside already because we've already seen that and I don't think you want to see it again. For now though, we're going to put in some olive oil and we're just going to continue on with it. Alright, this is a basic dough recipe from Food Network Kitchen. So, we're gonna stir in some olive oil. How much does it say? 3 tablespoons. So we're gonna get our tablespoons out of the sink and we're gonna find the tablespoon. We're gonna get the olive oil. One, 2, 3. Alright, we're going to stick that back in the sink and we're going to get a stirring spoon. From my little stash of cooking ingredients, we're going to stir this in. We're going to stir that in nicely. Now, we're going to put, these will be needed for later, so we'll just put them over here. And we're going to put in, we're going to whisk some flour and salt into a large bowl. 3 3/4 cups of flour. And look at this. We've got a nice I probably ought to get a container for the flour. That'll do once this craziness slows down. There's 1 cup. And this is a very weird little contraption I've got, but my fans sent it to me, so I couldn't be more grateful for it. Okay, there's 2 cups. And then there's 3 3/4. I'll just have to use the other one because it doesn't have a 3/4 on there. There we go. All right, 3/4. We're going to set this aside in the sink with everything else. We're going to brush off some of the flour. All right. Now, the sugar. And we need how much sugar? No, we need salt, excuse me. 1.5 teaspoons, all right. We need my trusty little spoon. 1.5 teaspoons of salt. So 3 of these, because this is a 1/2 teaspoon. Alright, put that aside. Okay, now we gotta whisk it. And since I don't have a whisk, we're just going to do it the old-fashioned way with a fork. I mean, a whisk is absolutely not a priority right now. But making food is, and I might as well entertain people with my cooking skills. All right. Make a well in the center of the thing, which I have done. All right, pour the mixture in the well. All right. Put everything we'll need this later, but we're gonna put this right here for now, and we're gonna get another spoon. I have plenty of spoons, believe you me. I have plenty. Can't seem to find a wooden spoon, so we'll just use this little tablespoon. We'll stir it together. And we've got a dough coming together. It's just taking a bit. Can't find any of my wooden spoons right now, so we're doing it this way. All right. We might have to get in there and just kind of fluff it. Might need a tad of water, just a tad, just a very small amount. Just like a tablespoon of water, just to help it. Just to help it along. And I'll get a different spoon. There, it's coming together slowly. Tad of oil. Just a tad. And we have to really just beat on it this time because it's literally just being a pain. Well, we gotta turn once it's a dough, because it's really giving me a hard time today. It's giving me a really, really hard time today. Give it a tiny bit more oil. Just a very tiny, small amount, nothing giant. It's really giving me a tough time today. It's coming together. It's a rough dough. It's a very rough dough. Just need a tad of water in that. Just a very, very tiny tad amount. It's really having a tough time today. really just okay. All right, it's finally coming together. Sort of. I keep washing my hands just to get the crap off so I can keep kneading the dough. Okay. This is just taking forever to come together. Being a big brat. Getting pieces everywhere. Just another tad of water. Stir it in with our hands. This is just being a damn brat. Oh, pardon my language. This is really being a brat today. But it's getting there, and we're not going to dump it out on the counter until I'm sure it'll work. We're going to give it a little more oil. Alright. It's coming together. Slowly, but surely. Just takes a little longer, but I'm getting it. It's coming together quite nicely. We do need a tiny bit more water, unfortunately, just a tad, to make it more doughy. But it's getting there. It's coming together. Finally. Just a tad of this as well. Because ratio. There. It's coming together. There. Just a tad more oil. Just a very little amount. All right. Finally, it's starting to come together. And now we can bring it out of the bowl. And a lightly dusted surface. It's becoming dough slowly. Give it a good smack. Get some flour dust. Dust it. Dust it. Give it a good dust. Give it a good smack. All right. Several good smacks ought to help it. Okay. Gross. Dough is always gross. Okay, now we're gonna brush a bowl. If I can find a bowl. This'll work. We're gonna brush a bowl with oil. I don't have a brush, so we're gonna use paper towel. Just a tiny amount. All right. Okay. Gonna dump this in and lather it up a bit. Okay. All right. We're gonna cover with some plastic wrap. Where'd it go? Alright. And I'll see you when the dough is ready. Alright, we're back and the dough is ready. Okay, so we're going to get the dough out. We're going to get the dough out. What we're going to do now is roll it out, and I really do not have a rolling pin, so do not fault me for not using one. I will be using this thing. That's part of my measuring cups. It works, okay? It works. It works as far as... It'll literally work for this purpose. Ugh. Alright. Just gonna have a nice bit of dough. We're gonna flatten it really well. Alright, just flatten it out really well. This is vital. We flatten it as much as we possibly can. Alright, we'll put this over because we don't need it right now. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Come on. Gotta flatten this out really well because we need every bit of dough we can get. Just gotta flatten it out really, really well. Because we do need every bit of dough we can get. Really, very much. It's gotta be flat. Okay. Now we need a knife. Okay. We need to cut these into 9 pieces. Set the knife aside. Just need to step back here and get another baking sheet because the one fell on the floor. Anyway, set the pieces aside that we're not using. This is going to take a bit, so we're going to preheat 350. Because we definitely do need. All right. Roll this out individually. Make sure it's nice and flat. Stretch it. Gotta stretch it a little bit. Because this is absolutely vital. Make it as thin as possible. You need a teaspoon. Right. We need some tomato sauce. Okay. To be very, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's spaghetti tomato sauce or tomato sauce. Just a drop. Just an absolute. This sauce is actually garden tomato and mushroom. It doesn't matter. Honestly, it doesn't. We're gonna wash the knife off because we need it. Gonna strip this open because this is absolutely essential. We're gonna get some cubes. Gonna cut them as small as humanly possible. Do not cut your fingers. But we don't need a crap ton of cubes. Just a few. Because we need that healthy element. Alright. Some cheese. Rinse off the knife again. We gotta wash the knife again because we're literally using 1,000,000,001 elements. Thin slice of cheese. Very thin. Okay, and we're gonna need a turkey frank because this is pizza pigs in a blanket, basically. And you know, you can get whatever kind of hot dogs you actually want. Very careful, very careful, very careful. Very tight, very even. All right, now we're gonna put that very tight and very even. Tuck it in. Tuck it in on all sides to make sure it'll stay. Okay, we're gonna do this again. Rinse our hands. I may have put too many cucumbers in the last one, but that's okay. This is a learning experience. Okay, I need my rolling pin. See, these have to be thin so that the ingredients can fit. Nice and thin. Pizza sauce, I guess we can call it. It's tomato sauce, but it's still the same thing. Spread it with a spoon. We absolutely do not want too much of anything. We need a few cukes for the healthy element. Absolutely not more than like maybe 2 or 3. Small sliver of cheese. And if it's gotten too big, you can cut it in half. And a frank. Make sure it's secure, like that. All right, each time you get a new piece of dough, you have to roll it out thin so that you can actually do something with it. You don't want to get too greedy with the tomato sauce because it will turn into a disaster if you do. Just want a tad bit of tomato sauce, tads of cucumbers, a smattering of cheese. Now that's a bit thick. That's a bit thick. Okay. And for the record, I've never done this before, so I hope it turns out really well. They're not perfect by any means, however. Just got to fold them over and make sure they, just stick together like glue. Got to make sure they stay put. Okay, we're getting quite the mess here, but we got to keep going. All right. Absolutely not too much. Don't get greedy on the pizza sauce. Just enough at the top. If you want, you can spread it around a bit. But do not do more than maybe half of this or this. Otherwise, it's going to turn into crap. Just a smattering of cucumber, not very much. Absolutely not very much cucumber. Because it's honestly going to turn into a mess if you... And absolutely not much cheese either. Because you don't want them filled with cheese. You don't want them bleeding of cheese. See? You absolutely want to be careful with something like this. Make sure it's nice and thin. And you can do these with all sorts of dough too. Do not, like with a thinner piece like this, you don't want as much sauce. And you really just want to cube it, just tiny cubes. Just very tiny pieces of cubes. We don't want to overdo it, maybe 3 pieces at most. Thin, 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 thin slice of cheese. And if it doesn't work, thin it even more. Slice it in half. Put a slice there and a slice there. Then a frank. Got to be very careful. May even use the second pan as well. I have 2. This counter is getting dirty, however, these will hopefully turn out very nice. See, you gotta roll it very thin. Do not go nuts with the tomato sauce. Otherwise the franks are gonna be very sloppy. We're doing pizza pigs in a blanket, and we've got a frank ready, but we also need some of this. Because you really can't get a ton of vegetables in this kind of a thing. But you can get some. You can even break the cheese into smaller bits and spread it out a little more. Just hug it together. See? All right. Hopefully these turn out. I have never made them before, so I don't know if they will. Put some sauce on the top. Cubes. Suppose this is a bit of a pizza roll. I'll put a tad of cheese. Do not put too much cheese in. We're only going to cook as many as we have franks. And roll it, stretch it as you roll it, stretch it as you roll it. So it doesn't look too bad. It's kind of puffy and uneven, but whatever. Okay. We're down to our last frank, so we're not going to be able to use all the dough I've cut out. Just gonna roll this out. See, look at this. Just a tad. Just a tad. We can even chop it up this time with our hands. Because honestly, there we go. Knife. Hand rinse. Knife rinse. Okay, cheese. Thin and small. And that's it. And then we put a franken. Got to be very careful with rolling it so that we get the whole dough locked into the hot dog. Okay. Before we put it in, we're going to do a little cheese grating over the hot dogs. Not a ton. Just enough. Those are ready to go in. Do the same here. All right. And I will see you in a little while. See you in a little while. All right, shall we get the Piggies and pizza blankets out of the oven? Oh yeah. Look at these. Oh my gosh. Look at these Piggies and pizza blankets. My God, they look beautiful. Thank you, God, for giving me the energy to do this today when everybody needed to see it. All right, so we're just gonna sort them out. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah. We're just gonna literally just line them up all pretty. We're gonna let them cool for a minute. Now I'm gonna take a picture with my phone. Because those are amazing. I have honestly never made these before in my life, and they turned out absolutely beautiful. They turned out so amazing. Excuse me while the camera just decides to be a brat. All right, so these are the pigs and pizza blankets. Aren't they absolutely amazing? taken care of. Isn't that amazing? Would you like to zoom in on them? Look at these Piggies and pizza blankets. Aren't they absolutely incredible? Look at this. That actually tastes really good. All right. Look at these. All right, and that's another Cooking with Heather episode. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe, be strong, be healthy.